We have to stop putting lazy on things that feel hard. I'm talking to you, my fellow neurodivergent ADHD girlies, because nothing makes us feel like we're not doing enough or something is wrong with us, like not being able to follow through and finish things that we say we want to do. And that's due largely to energy demands, because you have days you're very low energy and days you have very high energy. And when you have low energy, it's hard to do the things that you say you want to do. It's hard mentally, it feels hard physically to just show up and do those things. And we have to train ourselves to not succumb to the lazy moniker, or not assigning laziness to that energy, or that energy. Why do I struggle with words? That energy capacity or energy levels. That's what I'm looking for. We have to be careful not to assign lazy to when we have those moments. And we also have to be careful of not pushing ourselves too hard or extremely hard in an attempt to make up for the low energy moment. So we're trying to get as much as we can done. I know I am speaking to an ideal, because that does not always work out. We find ourselves doing that by default, and I speak mostly for myself. I don't know about you, but as somebody who is neurodivergent, lazy is something that I was told very often when I was younger, because of those energy levels, or because of my varying energy levels, and what felt like me not wanting to do something, or what looked like me not wanting to do or following through on something, was my brain literally just not having the capacity to function or to do these things. On the flip side, there will be moments when I would be so focused and so energized, I would run through a whole host of things and then crash. But what is common amongst both scenarios is pushing through. And for me, not knowing how to manage it, or not identifying, or not being able to identify what was the root cause of these energy level fluctuations, meant that I would burn out, meant that I would struggle to rest. And so, in me bringing up that phrase, which by the way is due to, or I got that phrase, or I heard that phrase from Bria Hash, Black Woman Sales Academy founder, and she's a sales strategist. And the first time I heard her say that, it stuck with me. And so whenever I attempt things, or whenever we attempt things that feel hard, the question I often ask myself, is this an energy issue, or is this an issue of skill, knowledge, time? What is it? Because far often the energy does not match the requirements for completing something, or if it does, something else is missing. So if I have the energy, then I might not have the skill, or I might not have the knowledge, or I might not have the time. So this seesaw situation ends up causing stress for me. I don't know about you, and maybe you are, I can't speak for all folks who are neurodivergent or who have ADHD, but having identified or knowing what is at the root of this, has helped me tap into systems that help me manage this a little better. Does it mean that I've solved all my energy issues, or does it mean that I never struggle with things? Hell no. Doing these daily videos, for one, is hard. I'm doing this at whatever time of night this is, because my day went, I didn't get the opportunity to do that, and I'm not a batch ahead kind of person. I'm trying to work on doing that, but right now I'm not. And so this is me forcing myself to do this. Whether I take 10 minutes, 15 minutes, I'm giving myself the bare minimum. So setting systems in place for me has helped push through things that are challenging, that might not necessarily be uh, difficult. And by that I mean I might not have the energy. I might have the energy, but I am struggling with the thing because I don't have the resources, or I'm going to have to learn something new, or it's going to take more time than I'm willing to or want to. And sometimes I really have to push myself. Shanique, it's going to take the time it's going to take. Do it. Go and get as much of it as you can done. And so one system for me is bare minimum. And with these weekly videos, I have a bare minimum. And the bare minimum is 15 minutes. Get through 15 minutes of talking, or get through 15 minutes of these videos, and especially on days like today, and move on. The other thing too is not overestimating my ability or capacity, which I still struggle to do or not do. So I will think something is going to take me 2 hours, ends up taking me 4 hours because there's a thing called time blindness. And one way I kind of lessen that or manage that is to set timers. I put everything in my calendar, put reminders in a calendar. When I have appointments, for example, I have the appointment time, but I give myself a buffer so that I can get there and be on time, which means I'm never ever going to put in my calendar that my appointment is at 2 when it is, if it's at 2. If it's at 2 and it's going to take me 20 minutes to get there, I am putting in my calendar that the appointment is 20 minutes earlier because I am going to take probably 20 minutes to get there anyway. And so if I take 20 minutes to get there, I'm likely to get there just on time. So things like that, when I refer to systems, are what I put in place. If I know I'm not going to eat, or I struggle with getting meals in when I have a packed calendar or a packed day, I set reminders. And sometimes I will ignore the reminders. And that's why I set backup reminders too, and alarms. So things like alarms, reminders, putting it in my phone or in your phone are ways, are system, part of setting up a system. And this again, this is struggle bus tonight. This is the second time the light is going out on me, and yeah, let's continue. So systems are important. Things, something might be hard, and it's okay if it's hard. It means lowering not necessarily your expectations, but the effort that's required. In other words, don't put so much pressure on yourself for it to be perfect. In fact, give yourself permission for it to be messy. Give yourself permission for it to be ugly, because chances are it will be. And the more you give yourself permission for it to be that way, the less pressure it is to perform or to put out the effort. And so, whatever effort you can put out, let that be enough. Whether you go, if going to the gym and it feels pretty hard today, and you have 5 exercises and you get through 3, that is enough. If all you can do is get through the warm up and go do some cardio, that is enough. Let that be enough. So that's also part of handling hard things instead of calling yourself lazy. I, for one, have since I heard this, or since it was framed in that way, it has changed how I approach my rest. It's changed how I approach my work. It's changed how I approach doing things. So again, something feels hard. I will acknowledge that it is hard. And when we acknowledge that it is hard, we then set the stage for us to do anything, because anything is possible. Like I said, have a bare, if there's a bare minimum, if you have a bare minimum, and there is a lot of power in having a bare minimum. Everybody's trying to optimize, and there's nothing wrong with optimizing. But here's my issue with optimizing. You can't optimize something that's not a habit. So if you're right out the gate trying to optimize something that feels hard, you are going to struggle. So set a bare minimum. It gets you moving, it gets you making progress. And when you have the energy, you push a little more. When you have the capacity, you move a little more. When you've practiced some more, it means you're now capable of doing more. And this is not to say you weren't from the beginning, but what this does is simply give you momentum. But not just momentum, but momentum with substance, momentum with a little experience. You're trying things, you know what is helping, you know what is not, you know where you might struggle. And this is provided you have some level of awareness. Because if you don't have the awareness, none of this makes sense. Ignore every single thing I'm saying, if you're even watching this. But without the awareness, hard you're it's always going to feel hard, and it's always going to be hard, which therefore means that for you, if you can't do it a certain way, then you're not going to try. And really, that helps nothing, helps no one. Certainly doesn't help you, doesn't help me. So, one of the things I practice, and I invite you to do the same thing, is to ask yourself, is this something that's hard because I am lacking the energy, or I am my capacity? I don't have the capacity for it? Or is it hard because it's going to challenge my knowledge? I don't have enough. It's going to challenge my skill set. I'm not yet skilled at it. Or it's going to challenge my time. I don't have the required time to give to this. In which case, you then, based on your answer, you can move. If it's an energy issue, then what's your bare minimum? What can be done, regardless of the time, your capacity, your skill set, or what's the other one? Knowledge. What is possible? If it's a situation of time, what's the minimum amount of time you can give? It's a situation of resource or knowledge. What little piece can I learn to then do this? So therefore, take that step. If it's a situation, or if it's a case of skill set, how can I practice, or what step can I take that will form part of the practice? So in the case of cooking, I'm always going to come back to food. If meal prep is something that feels daunting for you, again, ask yourself, on this any particular day, is meal prep challenging because of what my capacity is? I don't have the energy to do a big meal prep, or I don't have the capacity to do a big meal prep. Is the skill set, meaning what's required to do the meal prep? Am I looking at one of those traditional type of meal preps where you prep all this protein, carbs, and all those things, and then portion them out? Are we talking about making certain types of foods as part of the meal prep? So that's resources, that's time, not time, skill. So it's resources and skill. And now time, do I have the time to do a certain type of meal prep? And once you assess that, if you don't have a lot of time, what can you do that will not require a lot of time? If you don't have the energy to do a big meal prep, can you do one meal? Can you do one snack? If you don't have all the ingredients to do meals for 3 days, can you do lunch for tomorrow? Can you make a sandwich? Probably. If you don't have the skill set to do certain types of foods, what can you do? So you see where I'm going with that? It requires an assessment, and then based on that, you can take simple steps. This is how we better manage our energy in the face of hard things. This is how we help ourselves in the face of hard things. This is how I am working in the face of hard things. Doing these daily videos are hard. At this time of night, it's hard when I would rather just go to my bed. It's hard. Taking photos all day, is hard given what I'm working with right now physically. Having to edit photos is hard because sometimes I look at these photos and my brain is bleeding from looking at them for so long. Not yet being skilled or at a certain level, because I am still fairly new to this, to food photography I'm referring. That is hard. So practicing every single photo shoot is a practice session. Every single picture I take is one step towards mastery. Every book I read is one step to knowing a little more that I can then put into practice. Every time amount of time I spend taking a photo and looking at the photo and assessing the photo, setting it up, composing it, styling it, is me getting better at the craft. And so it's hard. Acknowledge that it's hard, but I'm not lazy. I never have been. Burnout at 35, proof enough that I was never lazy. I just never had boundaries or a way of managing my energy. I gave to everybody. And so when you give, you have no time to recoup your energy. You have no time to even build capacity for certain things because you're spent taking care of everybody else. That's the other part of folks who tell themselves they're lazy. You give, people aren't there, we aren't lazy. We give, we're very giving people. We cater to others, we tend to folks, and do that at the expense of our own energy, at the expense of rest, at the expense of taking care of ourselves. And so that manifests in issues like, sleep issues, stress levels, and, impact blood pressure, that type of thing, impact appetite. Just make yourself extra tired over a period of time, like to the point where you have nothing left to give, and your body forces you to take a break and sometimes shut down. Ask me how I know. So, in sharing all of this today, we have to stop attaching lazy to things that feel and are hard. And they are hard for several reasons. The point is to choose how you're going to address the hard. If what it is that is hard, that feels hard, is something that's going to enrich your life, going to make your life better, how can you approach the hard? You don't have to bite it off or try to do it all at once or try to get better overnight. It's going to take the time it takes. But you have to show up in ways that help you, in ways that make the most sense, given your energy, given your skill set, given your time, and given your resources. It is possible. Okay? Thank you for sticking around with me tonight. And remember, as I'm talking about energy, as I'm talking about hard things, don't forget to nourish yourself the simplest way you possibly can. It can be very small too. All it takes is something small. Nourish yourself the simplest of ways. But mostly start with one thing at a time. Okay? Until tomorrow, have a good one. Bye.